Hey everybody, this is the You Should Think This podcast, episode maybe 8 or 9 or so. Kind of don't know the exact count. But Josh is on this week and he knows a ton about movies and a ton about comic books, which made him an ideal person to have this conversation with. We're talking about summer movies, everything that's coming out this summer, which is basically a bunch of remakes, sequels, comic book adaptations. You know how movies are now. And Josh brings a ton of knowledge about all that stuff. We end up talking about movie posters as an artistic medium and which movies had the best posters and why sometimes a poster is way more effective in advertising a movie than a preview is. And we'll finish off at the end talking about some of the movies coming out late in summer like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Sin City sequel. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you on the other side.
Hit me with the horn, 20. Keep making noise. Keep making noise. Yeah.
Talking about movies here, we probably should have done this podcast maybe 2 weeks ago or so, because we're going to start out talking about Captain America Winter Soldier. We're talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2, which both look phenomenal. What do you think about the Captain America movie? I know you didn't see it, but I know you saw the first one.
Yeah, and I wasn't a huge fan of the first one, and I can't really pinpoint as to why. But I think the second one is going to be actually good. At least the first teaser trailer that was put out, I don't know if you saw it, with where Cap is in the elevator, and then he just fights a bunch of people and then walks away, pretty much. That's pretty cool. I like that. So I think they're going to do a good job, and I really like that they moved straight into the comic format that is kind of based off is fairly new in the comic world, so it was pretty ballsy of them to go straight into this.
That's cool, as in like the original comics, like early ones that probably sucked everybody in. They
Yes.
don't really talk about those. They talk about the new ones.
Yeah, well, the original Captain America was all based in the old Golden Age kind of Marvel universe, basically, but this one, which is about Winter Soldier, is fairly new within the comics realm. So I think that, like, again, and the same thing, not to jump too far ahead, but a similar thing they're doing with the new Avengers movie is like brand new within the comics realm. So I think that I like that Marvel's doing that.
I didn't know that. I do love what they're doing, though. I think that it's genius how they have like separate movies for every character, and then they bring them together into just a mega blockbuster conglomerate movie. Is just absolutely genius on their part.
Whatever marketing end they did on their part, that guy should be billionaire right now.
Just
It's
CEO.
absolute genius. Yeah, and it's not only with the movies, but with the TV shows, with the Netflix TV movies that they're going to be putting out. Genius. All genius.
Yeah, for sure. And this second Captain America does look really, really good. I didn't see the first one because I didn't think it looked that good, honestly. I just was never interested in it. And the whole time I was watching the Avengers, I felt bad for Captain America. He's like kind of like the crappiest of them all. You have the Hulk who's just like slapping gods around like it's nothing.
Yes,
and then you have Captain America. Everybody's flying, and then Captain America has to run everywhere like a douche. Like I felt bad for him.
Well, he's got this like pseudo Napoleon complex throughout the entire film, which is pretty great. In and of itself.
He's like the little superhero that could throughout the whole movie.
Exactly.
But Winter Soldier looks awesome. I'm probably not going to see it in the theater just because it's been out for a while now and I haven't seen it already. Yeah, but I will absolutely. The second it comes out to Redbox, I'm getting it because I'm excited to see it.
For sure.
I didn't see Amazing Spider-Man 2 either yet. Yeah. And that was another one where I saw the first one. Mm-hmm. I didn't love it, though. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I remember seeing the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and absolutely loving every second of it.
Yes, 1 and 2 of that trilogy were phenomenal.
As far as I'm concerned, number 3 never happened.
It was never a trilogy. It was just 2 movies and then something happened.
Yeah, it was a two-logy and then a eulogy for the third one. It was terrible.
Right. It was a eulogy.
But like James, is it James? No, not James Garfield.
Andrew Garfield was the 20th president of the United States.
Of course. How could I forget?
Everyone knows that.
Anthony Garfield, or no, what did I say? Andrew Garfield. Anthony. Tony Garfield. Andrew Garfield. I don't know. I don't know. He was too goofy a little bit, but I know that Spider-Man's goofy in the comics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the genius of Spider-Man. He's like every awkward teenager's dream. Like that's what made him amazing was, oh, remember being really awkward and nerdy and having no friends in high school? Well, this guy is the same thing, but he wins everything, the girls and everything. So
Yeah.
great.
See, I
But
feel like the new Spider-Man is way more true to the comic.
yeah,
But for some reason I still really like the old one more, I
well,
believe. I mean, I'll
those
still
are
see
great.
the second one here,
hmm
but I
Well,
don't know.
what's great about the Amazing Spider-Man is that they do Gwen Stacy is the mistress or Peter's love life, which is his original love life in the comic books was Gwen Stacy. After Gwen died, then Mary Jane came into the picture. But so the fact that they're going back to Peter's one true love is, I think, a good idea. Don't bring Mary Jane back. She was just whatever.
She's just a side piece.
She's just a side piece. She's a rebound job for Peter.
uh, One movie I actually have seen, I mean, of all the movies we're going to talk about, they haven't come out, but I did see Neighbors last night, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I was curious as to what you were going to think about that.
It made me continue to love Seth Rogen, because he's one of the funniest people in Hollywood, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's right up there.
It made me really like Zac Efron, who was funny as heck in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, and it made me really miss college. Not that I did all the crazy, because this is, of course, like glorified college. You know,
Right.
how they didn't talk about the studying or any of the long nights or the stress. They only talked about drinking and partying and stuff. But it still made me miss college. It was a good time. The movie overall.
All right. Well, so, I mean, so it was funny. It was worth seeing, you would say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you don't see
Okay.
it in the theater, I mean, it's not like the theater enhances anything about it because it is just a comedy, but definitely see it when it comes out. It cracked me up. Like, they had one scene that I thought was pretty funny. It was Seth Rogen and Zac Efron, and they're sitting there, and they're talking about, because he's way older. Seth Rogen is like the older neighbor.
Right. He's like a father and stuff.
Yeah, he's like the older dude, and he's
Yeah.
like, so to Zac Efron, he's like, so who's Batman to you? And Zac Efron's like, Christian Bale, yeah, and then the other guy's like, Michael Keaton is Batman to me, and then they go back and forth talking like their respective Batmans.
Awesome.
That's pretty funny.
All right, that's cool. I can dig that.
And one thing I was going to ask you, it reminded me, who is Spider-Man to you?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think Spider-Man for me will always be Tobey.
That's what I think too.
I think like Andrew Garfield, and again, like I think Andrew Garfield did a good job, but I guess it goes back to nostalgia. Tony, well, what's his name? It split my head. He's always
Tobey?
Tobey's always going to be my Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I can't tell if like he's our Spider, because I'm the same way. I can't tell if
Yeah.
he is our Spider-Man because he was first to us and it's a nostalgia thing, or
Yeah.
if he was truly better. And
You know,
I can't really differentiate between those two things.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think we have to. Like he will be regardless of whether or not we can figure out why he is. He just will be, you know?
Yeah, he's always Spider-Man in my heart.
He will always be Spider-Man. He will also always be the man from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with the mullet in my heart too.
All right, so the real reason we even had the idea of doing this podcast was A, because we both love movies.
Correct.
But B is Godzilla looks like it's about to be the dopest movie of this summer.
That is, to say the very least, the movie's going to be great.
I'm so excited for it, and it's like, this thing is going to be everything that the Matthew Broderick version wasn't.
Which is like the highest compliment you could possibly pay a Godzilla movie.
Exactly. Like, there's not going to be any Jeff Goldblum. There's not going to be any weird, like, why does Godzilla give birth to velociraptors?
We're not going to have a bunch of French people who think that being American means chewing bubble gum.
Like, none of that stuff. It's going to be
Yes.
phenomenal acting from Bryan Cranston, who's like
Yes.
probably the most incredible dramatic actor right now.
And I think underrated too. There's not a whole lot of people when you say great actors throw out Bryan Cranston's name, which is kind of sad.
But he's the guy that if you ever say he's a great actor, everybody is on board. But
Right.
still, when you say great movie actor, it never comes to mind because everybody pretty much knows him as Breaking Bad.
Well,
You know?
I guess what movies has he been in? I can't think of any.
Yeah, I guess whenever you think like or maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think whenever you throw out, who's the best actor, people immediately fall back to movies.
Yeah,
They
I think I do
default
the
to
same thing.
movies.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
And they forget about phenomenal TV actors like Bryan Cranston or, pretty much anybody from Game of Thrones or like all the
Right.
phenomenal TV show acting we have right now.
Yeah, correct.
But I think Cranston's going to make this movie like step it up to a whole new level.
Yeah, I mean, just the bits from the trailers that you've seen of him, it's just, I start to feel bad for him. And I don't even know why I should feel bad for him yet. I just know that, oh man, he sounds really sad.
It's like he says a line in one of the trailers where he says, "This thing's going to send us back to the Stone Age," and I like get scared.
Yes, I believe I'm going back to the Stone Age with him.
I'm like, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah,
Like,
hold on a sec.
Why is Godzilla taking away my iPod? Things like that.
Why does he hate technology so much?
Yeah, you do you, Godzilla. Like, you can just have New York City.
Right, we don't care. Just let me have my luxuries.
Yeah, I need Netflix and iPod, and I'm happy.
Right. Yes, that's fine.
But that movie looks awesome. I saw one poster for it. Actually, I don't know if it was a poster or if it was like a fan fiction thing, because I did try to Google it and I couldn't like rediscover it. But it was a very tranquil picture of a lake. Like trees all around, fog. It was kind of foggy. It looked like a foggy morning. And I was like, oh man, it's a very tranquil, nice, calming picture. And then somebody pointed out to me that if you look way in the background through the fog, you see the outline of Godzilla. And I thought it was beautiful. It was beautifully done, because you could have looked at this picture 10 times, and if it wasn't pointed out to you, you might have never saw it.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember seeing that poster at some point too. It's weird because we just tried looking for it and couldn't find it. But I mean, that kind of speaks on just how well you can advertise a movie through this tiny little piece of paper.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I much prefer actually movie posters to movie trailers.
Yeah, because what's great about, well, for one thing, movie trailers are kind of like, they aren't the directors putting together a trailer, putting it out. It's like the executive office putting that out themselves. So the movie poster is kind of like show you as little about it as possible while trying to show you as much about it as possible all in one.
That's a great way to put it, because like I think that's what I hate about trailers now is you go to a movie and every trailer's 5 minutes long and it shows the beginning, middle, and end, and you're just like, well, I just watched the movie. Like, why? I don't even need to see this movie anymore.
Right, and it is. Would you like? I would have been really excited to watch the movie because it seemed like a great idea, but now I know exactly what happens.
Yeah, I think the simpler the poster is, the more I like it. And the same thing applies to trailers. Like sometimes really, really simple trailers really get me and really grab me. And like I will see a movie based off a really simple trailer, even if I don't even know what it's about.
Absolutely. Well, because you're intrigued. If they leave a lot out, but just like enough to be like, wonder what that little bit of information was, then I'm all of a sudden, I need to know everything about what's happening in that space of time.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, what is this? Like,
right.
Have you seen, there was a preview for Interstellar?
Yeah.
And I still don't know what Interstellar is about. But all the trailer was a guy watching a rocket in the far distance, and it shoots up into the sky, and then it's just Interstellar.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm in. I don't know what this
brilliant.
is about.
Right. You don't want to know everything. You want to pretend to know everything, which is, you want to know about it.
Yes, yeah. And trailers give away way too much. And I even, yesterday, I can't remember what they were, of course, but there were, I saw the trailers before Neighbors, and one of them was really good. It just gave away too much. And I was like, I don't really need to see that anymore. Because the thing was, they like brought up a question at the beginning of the trailer, like, oh, this is going to be the, what's the word for the conflict of the movie. Mm-hmm. And then in one of the later scenes, something happened that could only have happened if the conflict was settled this way. And I was like, what the F? Like, that subtly kind of gave away what's going to happen. Like, I don't want to see this anymore. You lost me.
Yeah, you had me at the question. You lost me at the answer.
Yeah. Really, I just want to go into movies with a ton of questions and be interested from, like, the first scene.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what's brilliant about posters, to get back to those, because there's not a whole lot. It's really hard to put everything in the plot within the poster. Yes. And if they do, it's like, are the people actually going to connect the dots within the poster? So, like, you can do a really good movie poster by just subtly putting little pieces in there that you don't notice at first glance.
Yeah, the poster for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is kind of like that because it just shows the ape's face and he has war paint on, and you're like,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah. Is there a war? Like, what's going to happen with this thing?
exactly.
Yes.
Um, Also, I think I love posters. It's just a quick side story is when I was young and my dad and I would go to the movies, we would always get there like 15 minutes early and walk around and look at every single poster. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I like them. I don't know if you seem like somebody who would have done that too.
Yes, I did that too. I like getting anywhere early because I'm neurotic about that. But one of the benefits of getting to a movie theater early is there's things to look at, and you can really judge how a movie is going to be based off how cool the poster is going to look.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite when it comes to movies now. I am always late to every movie I go to.
I can't. I get like this fear-stricken anxiety about 2 hours before I know I'm going to a movie that I'm going to get there too late and I'm not going to have a place to sit and it's going to ruin my entire night. So I make sure I get there as early as I possibly can and just sit in the perfect seats so everything's perfect for me.
Dude, in Atlanta,
Yeah.
all the theaters in the city, they're all lazy boys, and they're all
What?
like you get your ticket for a specific seat, almost like a sporting event.
Oh, dude, that sounds great.
Yeah, so like it's cool in that you know you have your seat.
Yeah.
It's bad in that movies can sell out really quick
Oh, that makes sense.
because the theaters are way smaller. Because two lazy boys is about the size of like 3 regular movie theaters,
Right.
so they're smaller. But 3 times since I've lived in Atlanta less than a year. 3 times I have missed my movie because I got late and it sold out. I got there late. It's
That's
like
total.
like
Oh
an idiot.
man, that gives me anxiety just thinking about that situation.
Yeah, I went to go see a movie one time just by myself. I don't even remember what it was. It was something Lauren didn't want to see. She was out of town, and none of my buddies wanted to see it. And I was like, I'll go to a matinee. It'll be cheap. I'll just go see it by myself. I don't
Yeah.
need people. And
Yes, that's how I live my life.
I got lost on the way and missed the movie. Like that's another thing. I don't know the city well enough. I just got lost. It was so
You should
stupid.
probably figure out, like, I would have a map of the city implanted into my car to make sure I knew where I was going.
Yeah, I mean there is GPS, but sometimes you miss your
No, it's
exit
just,
and you get lost, and it's neither here nor there. But
right.
a movie coming out that has an awesome movie poster is X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Correct.
Would you
Yes.
agree?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about subtlety, it takes a second to really realize what they're doing with the poster, but when you figure it out, it's especially when you know what's happening in the movie, it's great.
So yeah, for people who don't know, there is a time travel aspect to the movie. It's a huge part of
Right.
the movie. They have to go
Yeah.
back in time.
Yes.
The poster is like just each poster is one main character's face with the big X over it. And if in like Josh said, it's really hard to tell, but it's like their face, but where the X goes over their face, it's their younger version, and where the X isn't on their face, it's their older version. So it's like the
Right.
old version and the young version superimposed over each other. It's very
Yeah.
clever.
It's super clever. And what's great is that, like, the movie, the actors are from the original X-Men trilogy, so you can tell who the actors are once you get into that point. They all look like they're supposed to, so it's great.
Yeah, X-Men has done a phenomenal job of keeping everybody on board
Yeah.
throughout all these years. Because I want to say the first X-Men came out over 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I think it did. It was pretty close to it, if not 10 years ago.
Yeah, and all the main characters from that X-Men are still in this one. And then all of the characters in, what was it called? X-Men First Class?
First Class, yeah.
They're all in the time travel aspect
Yep.
of the movie as well. So
Yeah, it's kind of like bridging the gap between the first trilogy and this movie. What's kind of going to happen between X-Men First Class and the original trilogy is almost like bridging those two movies together as if they were all on a continuous time stream.
yeah, I love the X-Men movies. I think they've all been done very, very well. I didn't see Wolverine, but all the ones where it's all of the X-Men,
Mhm.
thumbs way up for all of them.
Really, you like the third one? The last one?
I think so. What was the third one again?
It was like they just threw every X-Men who has ever been in existence into the movie.
You know what? I think that one was like starting to get a little too much, but I think
Yeah.
I still liked it But
Yeah,
then
it
they
was still a
got
good
me
movie.
back with First Class. I honestly
Oh yes.
think X-Men First Class was the best prequel I had ever seen.
Oh, I think I can agree with you on that for now. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a great one. They just answered so many questions. They had so many people's like beginning stories without overkilling it.
Hmm.
They just did a great job.
Yeah,
It was fun.
very great job.
Yeah. In this movie, I think we're going to see a lot of Jennifer Lawrence though, because in between X-Men First Class and
Yep.
now, J Law's blown up,
Yes,
but
yes,
she's
she
still
is.
stuck under contract with the X-Men movies. It like has to be in the X-Men movies.
Oh, she not only has she stolen our hearts, but she's about ready to steal our hearts even more with this X-Men movie. I
With
can't wait.
I have a weird feeling Mystique is going to spend a lot of time looking like Jennifer Lawrence, even
Yes,
though she can look like
Rebecca.
anybody.
Yeah, she's gonna turn into Jennifer Lawrence as opposed to Mystique.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One question on this one is I
Yes.
saw in the previews because they go back in time. Do
Correct.
you like your Wolverine with bone claws or with adamantium claws?
Oh, I like him with the adamantium claws because the bone claws look great, but they're not effective. I mean, like that's cool that there's bones coming out of his hand, but it doesn't really. It frightens me as far as whoa, you should get that checked out, but not that you're gonna chop my head off.
I love the bone claws.
Really?
I think they're sweet. Yeah, and they shoot out and they just look bone. They're like bony color.
Yeah. Well, on a purely aesthetic level, then yes, they are perfect. But
In a fighting sense, you're right.
yeah,
Nothing beats adamantium. You can't break adamantium once it hardens. That's just
right.
science.
It's pure science. It's actually I studied that in chemistry.
Yeah. But the claws, the one thing that bugs me about the claws is when they shoot out, they should be way bloodier.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the trouble. That's almost the trouble with comic book movies is that comic books as a medium aren't necessarily geared towards kids, but everyone thinks that they should be, and kids think that they should be, even though they don't necessarily read them. So they see a comic book movie going like, "Oh, I'm supposed to watch that 'cause I'm a kid," but like comic books themselves are a lot gorier and a lot more mature than people give them credit. So they kind of have to dumb themselves down in the violence level just to kind of get a bigger audience to come watch them.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get back to that when we talk about TMNT,
Right.
because you know all about that, but we'll get to that.
Hmm.
What can you tell us as a big fan of the comics? What's
Yeah.
something in the comics or in the movies that that we should expect? Like, what's kind of a cool backstory about the Sentinels that maybe your average fan doesn't know about?
Well, I mean, the Sentinels were originally these behemoths that were just kind of set up to gather X-Men, and kind of store them away, kind of like what we did to the Japanese during World War II is kind of a similar idea. Put them in camps. So this is kind of what this comic book does is they conquer the United States, the Sentinels do, and then they're like, all right, the next thing we should do is just gather up all the X-Men to the next biggest threat. And so the idea here is that the X-Men are kind of placed in these kind of internment camps and these labor camps, and in order to kind of keep this from happening, in the comic books, it's Kitty Pryde, who has like these telepathic powers, who sends herself back to her younger self and kind of leads the charge to stop what's happening. I won't give all of it away because I'm not sure necessarily how much the comics are going to follow the movies or vice versa. But yeah, so it's kind of like stop this one thing from happening so the government doesn't have to use these Sentinels and then round up all of these X-Men, and then we can kind of continue living somewhat peacefully with humans.
So, if they're in the future
Correct.
and the Sentinels are not controlling everything, then
Correct.
how did the Sentinels take over everything in the past?
Well, it's the movie's taking place. The bad things happen in the future. They go into the past to fix what happened in the future. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. I guess I was misunderstanding that. I thought they go back in the past and everyone's being taken over by
No,
Sentinels.
though in the future the Sentinels have already taken control, and then so they go back in time to stop the event that caused people to overreact about mutants and then need the charge in the Sentinels.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really excited about that one. That's gonna be
Yeah,
a
it's
good
gonna be
one.
great. I'm excited about it too.
One thing that X-Men also has been doing is, and like a lot of movies have been doing this lately, is mixing like the movie advertisements into like
Yes.
corporate advertisements.
Right, which I think is really silly. Like, I think every once in a while, like Reese's puts out like, oh, a Batman looking Reese's for the new Dark Knight movie. But this one, I don't know if you saw the Hardee's commercial. I think it was Hardee's, where it's Mystique eating. It's a Rebecca Romaine Stamos Mystique, and not the Jennifer Lawrence Mystique, because she would never dumb herself down to that level. Let's be honest.
They got Rebecca Romaine for that?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive it's Rebecca Romaine. Well, what else is she really doing with her life?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Just looking still pretty good as Mystique, but
she really fills out the Mystique body paint.
She does. She does a great job. But it's like she's eating this. Again, as a vegetarian, it looks disgusting. This giant burger that's just like dripping of grease and whatever goodness people think is in it. And then as she's eating it, she forms into this like burly construction-looking man, and big captions say like, "Be a man, eat our burgers," and it's like incredibly sexist, but like it helps promote the movie in some way, I'm sure.
I like that. I'm in. I'll eat them.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if I've ever been to a Hardee's.
I don't even know where they are. I mean,
they're down here. They're down in the South.
Okay. Well, there must be some in Michigan, because that's where I've seen the commercials.
They show them everywhere.
Yeah, all right.
I'm pretty sure, because I remember they used to show Sonic commercials in Michigan before we had Sonic.
Well, maybe they're planning on moving some up.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
It would be interesting.
Another movie that's coming out soon is, and I don't know how I feel about it, is A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah, I saw. You saw the trailer, right?
Yeah, I've seen a handful of them, and the previews are getting more and more revealing as we get closer to the movie. I feel like I've seen 3/4 of the movie now.
Well, honestly, I think this is one of those movies where they could give away as much as they want within the trailer, and it's not going to matter, because I feel like the plot is mostly Seth MacFarlane being crude.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, there's that scene in the trailer where he's like, "Hey, it's a shadow. You're sucking my shadow wiener." Which, I mean, it's going to be purely Seth MacFarlane, but I'm not sure how I necessarily feel about that.
That was one of the movies that had a preview during Neighbors last night. I forgot about that.
Oh, really?
It had a lot of fart jokes, which
it's kind of what I expected.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, A Million Ways to Die in the West, but the movie's about like, is it about like all the different ways people die? Because I feel like do people just die at random throughout the movie? Maybe that's just a running joke in the movie.
Maybe it could be. It could be like, oh, there's another dead person. We don't know why he's dying.
I think it's more like every once in a while, unexpectedly, someone dies in like a Final Destination style way, and it's just funny. Like, it's just meant to be like. I know they showed one scene where they're at the fair, and like a guy has an old timey camera, and he does the big flash.
Yeah.
And it like engulfs him in flames, and then the people he's taking a picture of are engulfed in flames. And then since it's a MacFarlane movie, they try to put out the flames by shooting them with shotguns. And so there's one way to die, I guess.
Oh, well, it's called A Million Ways to Die, right?
That's one. It's way getting past. What's that show on Spike TV?
Oh,
1,000 Ways to Die?
1,000 Ways to Die, I think is, yeah.
So not only is this A Million Ways to Die, but it's also centralized in just the West.
Yeah, that's wow. He must have done a lot of research on the ways to die in the West for this movie.
Yeah, they're blowing 1,000 Ways to Die out of the water. That show should just cancel itself. You lost.
Yeah, well, Spike TV should just cancel itself.
TV for men.
TV for men. We show manly TV. We'll show you every Rocky movie and every Rambo movie ever.
Speaking of TV for men,
yes,
we have a guy who, one of our best friends, loves movies that have explosions, car chases, people getting punched in the face, a lot of one-liners. Mm-hmm. So we're dedicating the next section to our friend Ben. This is Ben's Corner.
Yay!
It's all about movies that are just gratuitous action, basically. So that's Edge of Tomorrow, Transformers: Age of Extinction, Hercules, the new one with The Rock, The Expendables 3, and Just 'Cause Step Up All In.
Of course, because there's girls.
There's girls, and I think Ben has a sweet spot for hip-hop dancing.
You think, or we've all seen him hip hop dancing in his room while no
I
one is watching.
I know he does. I can hear it
Yes.
on the floor. There's way too much
Yes.
thudding. I know he's hip hop dancing in there.
Yeah, it's like an elephant trying to dance.
But all these movies are just action, just explosions.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
You got Edge of Tomorrow, which is the new Tom Cruise movie, which is the new Tom Cruise non-established action movie that he's like
Yes.
gone on this long string of them with Jack Reacher, Oblivion. You said another one,
Night and Day.
Night and Day.
Yeah, with
Where
Cameron
they're
Diaz. Ooh.
yeah, they're not sequels. They're not based off books. They're just action movies, which I guess, as we complain that things are like being reused too much, and then we're making fun of them for being in original stuff. So I guess we're being hypocritical, but
Well, I guess if you're gonna be original, like be original. It's not original to have like Tom Cruise fight people if he's doing it 10 times in 1 year.
that's true. Although I saw Night and Day, and it was pretty sweet.
Was it?
I thought so, yeah.
I've only seen it on FX, and I never stop on it.
Yeah, if you got DVR, it's worth watching. I liked it.
All right, I'll check it out.
Oblivion was not worth watching. It was very weird. A very weird ending. There was like 1,000 Tom Cruises. It was hard to follow.
It's too
I
many
don't.
Tom Cruises.
Maybe I was just being dumb,
Maybe.
but
I had
have
heard
a hard
rumors
time
that
feeling that a Tom Cruise movie was too smart for me.
I had heard rumors that was almost that it was potential that was like a Scientology recruitment video, almost, where it's like, hey, this is kind of what Scientology is based off of. I'm not sure.
What? I didn't know that. I hope not.
Yeah,
It didn't get me.
Well, good. So it didn't do its job.
I was lost throughout.
Yeah.
Is being a Scientologist just being lost throughout the whole thing?
I mean, from what I gather, from what I know about Tom Cruise, and yes, that's absolutely what it is.
The other one is Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
Tagline: We are no longer affiliated with Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
never happened.
we cut our strings with Shia.
That's what I'm confused in this movie. Is like, is it the same storyline except Mark Wahlberg is Shia LaBeouf's character?
I hope not, because it wouldn't make any sense to have Mark Wahlberg be Shia LaBeouf, because that's stupid.
Yeah,
I guess there's no other way to put it.
They're like the opposite people.
Yeah, not that Mark Wahlberg is necessarily a better actor, but I think it's going to be just like, let's pretend that those characters were never real, and all of a sudden we have these other people who have been in the first 3 movies, but different.
I don't
honestly-
know how I feel about that movie.
And honestly, like, should we really be like tearing apart the plot line to a Transformers movie, though? I don't know if that's going to be worth doing.
That's a good point. It's like, are you going to have gigantic robots messing things up? Giant robots fighting? All right.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
we're in.
in a city where a lot of things will be destroyed. All right, cool. I don't care what else is happening.
Then it still follows the same plot line. We're good.
Yes, exactly. And at what point are like the Autobots and the Decepticons just gonna like destroy each other? When does one side win? Somebody's got to win at some point.
I don't know how all that works. I actually stopped watching those movies because I didn't really like the second one.
Yeah. Same way.
It was too much Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second one was a little like, I know the stereotypical joke is like all he does is do explosions, but that second one was like literally personified stereotypical Michael Bay, and it just kind of lost me.
Yeah. He totally grabbed onto what everybody thought he was about and just embraced it.
Yeah. Although the first one was pretty sweet.
No, I 100% agree. He was great.
Yeah. So I probably won't see that Age of Extinction, but maybe I'll catch it on Netflix or something like that.
That's probably what I'll do. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch it with Ben.
Hercules is out again, and I know what you're thinking. Didn't this just come out? And yes, it did.
It did. And it was under a different title previously, though, I believe.
What was it called?
Hercules something. I don't know.
And this one's just Hercules?
This one's just, they're like, we're going to leave out the somethings and just put Hercules.
Yeah, because the people who want to see Hercules aren't going to read the whole title.
They could barely pronounce the name.
But this time around, it's got The Rock in it, and he's back in an action movie. He's done making kid movies, family flicks.
Thank God. You know what? Honestly, the only good thing about this movie, I think, is that The Rock is done doing kid movies.
Is it weird to say that at one point The Rock was one of my favorite actors? He put
Like
out a
what?
string of awesome movies.
Like
When
what?
we were Scorpion King, I
Okay.
liked.
Yeah.
He put out more the right back to back. He put out, I think, what was it called, Walking Tall, and
Oh yeah.
the movie with Sean William Scott where they go in the jungle.
That was Walking Tall.
No, that was Walking Tall was the one where he has the 2x4. I thought.
What was it? What was the one with Sean William Scott?
I don't know, but the one with he like has to chase around Sean William Scott, and it's really
Yeah.
funny, and
Yeah.
it's like action and funny at the same time.
Hmm.
But I don't know. He put out a couple ones in a row, and I was like, I love this guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And then he just put out that pretty whack string of movies like The Rundown. That's what it was called.
Oh, yep. Okay, you're right.
The Rundown and Walking Tall, and I was
Yep.
like, oh, this is sweet. But
Yeah.
then he put out like Journey to the Center of the Earth 2
Ugh.
and like
Yes.
the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened, man?
He kind of pulled a Vin Diesel on us for a second.
Both of them, the two baddest dudes
Yeah.
in Hollywood, just
Yeah.
went on a string of making like family-friendly Adam Sandler movies.
Right.
Without Adam,
Yeah.
they started making the movies that even Adam Sandler said he wouldn't do.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, guys, I'm not going to do this thing.
It's like, oh, is Dwayne Johnson available? I guess.
Is he going by Dwayne Johnson now as his like actual name, or is he back to The Rock?
I think he's Dwayne Johnson when he's in kid movies, and he's The Rock in the Hercules movies.
Good. Think he needs to be The Rock in Hercules.
He's
And I feel
always
like-
be The Rock, dude. Own it.
Yeah,
You're The
okay.
Rock. You are,
You
the,
are
rock.
The Rock. It's true.
You're
I
not
feel like-
anything other than The Rock, and that's not a slate on you. The Rock is sweet. He was like
It's
one of the most
great.
charismatic figures in almost all mediums, like sports, movies, everything.
Yeah, there's a reason why people wanted you to be an actor, because you're great at acting and wrestling. So embrace it.
Yeah. Expendables 3. I'm assuming you haven't seen any of them.
No, I have zero desire to watch any Expendables movie, to be
Yeah.
honest.
We'll just see what Ben says.
Yeah.
So that,
Well,
that section was dedicated
well,
to you, Ben.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait for you to tell us what you think about it.
Ben is one of the 25 people that listens to this podcast, so that one's for you.
Yeah, your opinion matters.
The other section we got here is called "What the Hell is Up with Kid Sequels?"
Yeah.
Where every single kid movie makes sequels now. Like
Mhm.
maybe they were really big and we just don't realize it because we're not in that target audience. But like this summer alone, Rio 2, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and Planes. It's called Planes Fire and Rescue, but it's essentially Planes 2 are all
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, and Planes is one of those movies where I didn't realize that Planes was an actual movie, the first one. And I kind of thought it was like a joke as, hey, look at, they have cars and they fly.
Yeah, I thought it was like one of those, I don't know, almost like a mini movie. Like,
Yeah,
here's other things that happen in the Cars universe. Planes
Yeah.
are also humanoid.
yeah, they talk and have emotions. Don't get scared next time you hop onto a plane, kids.
They're not scary, but then they do all
Yeah.
these crazy things in the air, I'm assuming.
Right.
But I didn't see Rio. I didn't see How to Train Your Dragon. Planes. I haven't seen any of those, and I feel like there's a whole generation of kids that like this is their childhood.
Which is super unfortunate considering, like, and I guess, I don't know if this is like a real big, like, oh, kids these days have terrible stuff, but look at what we watch. It's so much better. But
Yeah.
I think there is some truth to that. I think that, I mean, even the movies that when we were a little bit too old for, that were kids movies, the Toy Stories, the Toy Story sequels, the Pixar movies as a whole were just
Finding
phenomenal.
Nemo.
Finding Nemo, Wall-E, those movies were spot on. And there's kids watching movies about training dragons and Rio going back into Brazil. I don't know about that.
I didn't see any of them. I don't know. It's like, and you're right. It's like, are we just exactly? Is this the kids these days argument, or are these
Yeah.
movies truly bad? And I really want to lean towards truly not good.
Yeah, mostly because I don't want to consider myself that old man yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, I still vividly remember seeing Lion King in the theater.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
I cried as a kid, and I admittedly still cry, so it's fine.
I actually saw Lion King recently again, and I want to say I teared up.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I was
sad.
like so embarrassed, but I was like, oh my gosh, it still got it. You
It's
still
still-
got it, Lion King.
Way to go, Lion King.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I guess those are kid movie sequels, and there's a ton of other ones. I mean, Madagascar has put out like 3 or 4 movies.
Too many, to be honest. How many times are they going to keep going into that jungle and not make it back to New York?
Didn't they start in a zoo?
Yeah, they're like, hey, we want to go to New York or go to the jungle, and then they never made it out. Apparently, I don't know what happened.
Tell me at what point growing up in captivity you understood the inner workings of like how to get on a plane and fly to somewhere else.
I
Huh?
think that's part of like the that's part of the training program when they
Yeah.
get in. They're like, learn how to eat food, learn how to entertain guests, fly an airplane. Like that's part of all of it.
Yeah. Answer me that, Madagascar.
Yeah, thanks.
God. So on to adult movies that are adult sequels, I mean, that are responsible. 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, speaking of
But
responsibility.
adult sequels that are coming out: 22 Jump Street, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes,
Yeah,
The Purge, Anarchy,
yeah,
and I think that's it
yeah.
for right now. We're gonna talk about some other ones, but 22 Jump Street, I'm actually really excited for because I thought 22 Jump Street was hilarious. Or 21 Jump Street, the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. No, it was. It was wait, and it took me a long time to want to see it because I thought it looked stupid.
I didn't
And
see
everyone's
that,
like,
same thing.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's funny. I was like, no, it's not. And they kept convincing me, and I rented it. And holy moly, were they right? I don't like to admit that I'm wrong often, but I was wrong about that movie.
I was the same way. We just kind of rented it begrudgingly on a limb. We were like went to Redbox. There was nothing that we wanted to see. We were like, let's just see this. And
Right.
like I laughed out loud a lot in that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Really hard. And I feel like I'm hoping that's going to happen again because 22 Jumps, the trailers so far have been really funny.
They have been, and so I can't imagine that it's not going to be good. If they're just, even if they follow basically the exact same storyline, but still a little bit different, it's fine. If they just keep the same comedic gold, I'm good. I'm in.
Yeah, and a lot of times with comedy sequels, you can kind of see in the trailers like where they've jumped the shark or they're like really pushing it.
Yeah,
And like especially like with the Hangover movies, for example, like you're seeing the previews and you're like, this is kind of forced. But
Yep.
22 Jump Street does not look forced. They still got
No.
some bullets in the chamber.
yeah. If they did a 23 Jump Street, I think I'd start to feel a little weird about it. But I guess we'll see this movie and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think overall that pairing is a really good pairing because
Yeah.
Jonah Hill's funny and Channing Tatum when he actually like lets loose and is goofy is hilarious. Like, and this is
Yeah.
the end. He completely doesn't. Sometimes he just doesn't take himself seriously at all, and it's really funny because, quite frankly, he's like like the hottest dude in Hollywood.
Yeah, he is. People like adore him as his face and his body and stuff. But I think like it's nice to see a serious actor not take himself seriously.
Yes.
Be very self-aware, and that's great.
Yeah, he could take the route of Brad Pitt, who actually has a phenomenal acting career, and he is great.
Absolutely.
Like I will see
Uh-huh.
movies just because Brad Pitt's in them.
For
But
sure.
he like has the chops and the looks to be the next Brad Pitt, and instead he's like, nah, I'm just gonna make goofy movies with my friends. And
Yeah,
like all
no.
of his friends are like goofy dudes too. It's like
Yeah, it's great, and like he can still put out the romantic movies that girls are gonna want to go see and stuff, but still the next movie he'll put out will just be this real crude, humorous movie.
Yeah.
Chops to you, man.
yeah. I like him. I like him a lot. I didn't
Yeah.
want to admit it at first because I was jealous because he's way hotter
Yes.
than me and way hotter than I'll ever be.
You're like,
But
yeah.
it's funny dude. He's like the type of dude that I always judge my comedic actors based on like would I want to hang out with you?
Yeah.
And Channing Tatum seems like a guy who would be cool to hang out with.
Yeah, at first I wouldn't have said that until I saw 21 Jump Street.
I would have said that after was he in the first Step Up?
He was. He was.
I just wanted to bring up Step Up.
Yeah, we can keep bringing it up throughout this entire cast.
Yeah, after Ben sees Step Up 5, he can just let us know if they live up to Channing Tatum's legacy.
Yeah, good luck with that. Step up.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which has a terrible title, like doesn't flow. Saying
No.
of the twice
It doesn't make
in one
sense.
title is weird.
Yeah, and I can understand why, because you want to keep the name that everyone knows in the movie, and that's fine. It could have just been Dawn of the Apes, and people would still get it. I don't know.
That would have been cool too, and that's the same thing with like the simplicity, like simpler is
Yeah.
better.
Well, maybe it was kind of like maybe it was kind of a jibe, like a humorous jibe from the people making the movie. Like, you know what? Let's just make this movie title stupid long and see if people get the joke.
People are still cool with that.
Yeah, see if the people still like it. Next one's going to be the prequel to the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Prequel of the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Of the Apes.
Of the original.
Of the original. Of the one with Charlton Heston in it, who was of the Screen Actors Guild.
One thing that's bumming me out about this movie is I don't think James Franco's in it.
I don't think he is either.
I love James Franco.
Me too. He doesn't get enough credit. Not only is he a great actor, but he just does so many other wonderful things that don't involve acting.
Yeah, he's very smart. Incredibly intelligent.
Yes, he's another man that I'm very jealous of, and I don't want to like that I admit.
His little brother was in Neighbors, and was
also
really funny too.
Really? He was in 21 Jump Street too, right?
Yes, that's right. I saw him before. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was the cool kid.
Yeah, but he was really funny in Neighbors, and he talks just like his brother. Like, they have a very weird cadence, both of them.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know if it's like wherever they're from, like if that's a regional thing that I don't know about, like a pocket of America that I'm not familiar with, or if that's just like the Franco household talks weird.
I have a feeling it's the Franco household in and of itself. What I would imagine is that James developed that prose, and that his little brother was just like, that seems to be working for Big Brother. I might as well try it myself.
That's what I think too. Yeah, like little brothers pick up big brothers' little things, you know.
Yeah.
Like little ticks. But that movie, the concept of that movie is awesome to me because apes are terrifying.
Yeah, they are. You go into a zoo and it's almost like looking in a mirror, like a hairy mirror sometimes.
Yeah, not only are they, like, they're a notch below us, of course, intelligence-wise in real life.
You're right.
But they are like 100 notches ahead of us as far as physical abilities.
Yeah, well, not only that, like they can eat anything and not kill them because their bacteria level in their stomach is so high, and they can run. They can move faster than us. They can climb trees. They can rip us apart. We only have intelligence. That's all we have on them.
Yeah, we should have just brought up like 10 ape facts really quick.
Yep.
Just rapid-fired ape facts to make people realize how scary apes are.
I think just saying that they're scary and they have teeth and they kind of look like us is enough to scare me.
Yeah, I once saw a picture of an ape that didn't have any hair. I don't know why. I think it was like a genetic thing.
Weird.
But it was like absolutely jacked. Muscle. It looked like a jacked, like, human.
Are you sure it wasn't a picture of Vin Diesel?
It was The Rock in Hercules.
Yeah.
But no, it was like, it had the same exact like muscle definition that humans have, like the huge chest and like ab muscles. Yeah. It was scary looking, and it was, like you said, way faster. Swing around in trees and stuff. It has its bite, like its teeth. Apes' teeth are huge.
Yes, they're enough to rip you apart.
All we have on apes is we're smarter and opposable thumbs.
Right.
And we parlayed that into world dominance.
Right. I don't know how that worked out, but we definitely got the good end of the stick. But I don't understand, like, what's interesting about the fact that we are smarter is exactly what Planet of the Apes does. It changes that. It's like, you know how apes are faster and better than us at everything, except for intelligence? Well, let's just give them intelligence and see what happens. And it's even more terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. Once you take away that one advantage, like, we're screwed.
We got nothing left. We can have guns, but they have so much other physical ability.
Yeah, and like, they could figure out how to use a gun. Do you need opposable thumbs to use a gun? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. And if you're smart enough, you can find a way to make a gun without having to use the opposable thumbs. Yeah. I mean, the worst that they can do is not hail a taxi or pick up a hitchhike.
Opposable thumbs are just overrated.
They really are.
Oh well. We at least have our brains in real life.
Yes, for now.
Yeah, for now. Did you see the first Purge?
I did, and I enjoyed it. I thought the concept was way better than the execution of the movie, but I admittedly am a big Ethan Hawke fan, so I will go on record with that. But the Purge was good. Did you see it?
I didn't. I really wanted to, but so many people said exactly what you just said.
Yeah. Well,
I think I'm going to see it just so I can see the sequel because the sequel looks even better.
Yeah. Well, like the Purge on a socio-political spectrum is a really great idea just to see what happens when you like the idea, as I'm sure you know, is that for one day out of the year we can get out all of our aggression by pure lawlessness. But what that really means is that the rich people can barricade themselves within the walls while the poor people are at the mercy of other crazy people who want to use this as a sport.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's a great idea on a socio-political scale. I think they could have done a little bit better with the execution of it. But this new movie, right, I think it looks just as good.
Yeah, there was one trailer where it's an auction, and it's all these rich people dressed in like ball gowns and tuxedos, and they're
Yeah.
essentially auctioning off the ability to kill like just these
Yeah.
regular looking people that had been captured.
I think it's brilliant as an allusion to, like, a bunch of other things that are happening now. And if you can do that in a horror movie format, awesome.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I want to like the preview for the next one looks so good that I'm going to go back and watch the first one so that I can see the next one.
Yeah, I think you totally should. I think it's worth it. I mean, the execution isn't great, but it's still good.
Yeah, and there's a couple scenes that are just really chilling in the theater, or in the preview, I mean, where like one, for example, is they're on a bridge and they turn around and it's when the purge has happened, like their car breaks down. Essentially, their car breaks down in the middle of the purge. So they're stuck outside, which is where you don't want to be during the purge.
Exactly.
And they look and like these dudes in masks on dirt bikes like come over the crest of the hill and they're just like, oh no. And
Right.
then this gang just chases them.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
But looks good. I'm excited to see that.
Yep.
Last original movie we're going to go over, like original idea movie here, we have
Yeah.
differing thoughts on is Jupiter Ascending, which I think is going to flop tremendously. Tell me why you think possibly otherwise.
I think it's going to be good. I mean, you have the Wachowski brothers directing it, and I'm a big fan of basically everything that they've done sans Speed Racer. That wasn't that great. But, I mean, they just did Cloud Atlas, which was brilliant. I mean, it didn't do very well commercially, but I think it was great. And, I mean, they did the Matrix trilogy, they did V for Vendetta, they've done these great movies, action-wise and stuff. And I think the sci-fi aspect of it, in and of itself, I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, those guys have a great track record. It's just not enough. I don't think it's going to be enough to draw people to the movie. So, like, I guess that brings up an argument of, is a movie a flop because it doesn't bring in box office, or is it a flop because it's not a good movie? And I guess I'm arguing that the box office, it's going to struggle. It could still be a great movie, but I don't think the box office is going to do anything.
I think I can agree with you on that. I think it could flop at the box office. I think, especially with everything else that's going on with other big movies that are coming out, people aren't necessarily going to want to see a wonky sci-fi movie, but I think it's going to be good, and I think those who see it are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, the one thing about it that's weird to me is it seems like a 14-year-old like did the casting. It was like, there's a prince and a princess type character. Who should they be? Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum.
Yeah, yay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that.
No, I don't buy Mila Kunis in any serious movie, to be honest.
Did you see Black Swan?
Okay, you know what? I take that back after you say that. Good call.
Black Swan was good.
Black Swan was great, and I guess I can't think of anything else that she's been in seriously that I've been like, oh, cool, I can't wait to see that. But Channing Tatum, I mean, we just had this discussion with him. He doesn't seem like he's right for this role, though.
Yeah, he doesn't. I like him as an actor. I don't know if I'm buying him as like a sci-fi thriller actor.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Although I'm looking at a poster and he looks like a badass, I'm not going to lie.
Well, he'll always look like a badass. It's just whether or not he can perform as that badass.
Yeah. I guess he really only looks like a badass because he's holding a gun and has tattoos. He still just looks like Channing Tatum.
You give anybody those things, he could probably do wonders.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Maybe that was a bad point, but but last thing here, we'll go over it kind of briefly. We've already gone over movies over comics here. The last couple are Guardians of the Galaxy, Sin City 2, Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, and TMNT.
Yep.
One thing
Yeah,
I thought was interesting is tell us about the TMNT fact about the comics.
TMNT, and not a whole lot of people know, but it started out as a comic book series, and it was actually pretty violent for what it was. I mean, now they are still fighting and they have the weapons, but those weapons were used to like kill people within the comic books as a whole when they were in their early format. They eventually got brought back down when the kids shows came out and stuff, but no, they were a pretty violent comic book series when they came out.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still up in the air about. I wasn't like a huge TMNT fan as a kid,
Oof.
so like that's not what's drawing me. What is drawing me is that there is this huge portion of the population, especially in our age range, that did love them as a kid, and it's kind of
Yeah.
cool to see them as as a live action. Is that what that's called? Live action, where it's like half computer generated, half people.
Yeah,
I guess
it's
that's
like
every movie nowadays, but like
yeah.
the characters are live action.
Yeah, and like I mean, I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan, so count me in that group that's super stoked. But like, so I've seen the original trilogy. I actually just watched the second one a couple nights ago because I had nothing else to watch, and I own them on Blu-ray. But they're great movies, and the cartoon series was great. The video games they put out were great. I think if you do it right, you can do wonders with it. I'm a little nervous because of all the rumors that have been flying on around it about they aren't actually mutant turtles or aliens, and that there's all these other little plot things that they took away from it. But if they can still do it and keep true to the story as it is as a proper, then yeah, I'm in.
All right. What about Guardians of the Galaxy? Because I really know very little about this.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of it's always been it's not a huge comic book. Even within Marvel, it's never been that big, and it's gone through a lot of different characters. But it's always been kind of like a goofy comic book. And the guy who's directing, I think it's James Gunn. Is that who it is? His last name's Gunn. I know that. I don't know his first name, but he's a goofy dude, and he puts out kind of goofy movies from what I know. And this movie is gonna be great because of that. I mean, this is another Vin Diesel movie. If you're unaware,
I was. Who does he play?
he plays he plays Grood, who's this like tree fellow. He just does the voice of it, so you get to hear Vin Diesel's wonderful voice throughout the movie as a tree.
Good,
And
because my favorite part about Vin Diesel is just the things he says. Is his actual
yes,
his acting and his fluctuation of his voice. That's what's always
exactly.
sold me for Vin Diesel.
Yeah, absolutely, his wonderful voice.
Yeah.
But what's cool about Guardians is they have this character named Rocket Raccoon, who's this little. He's a raccoon who shoots rockets. I mean, that's basically the gist of who he is as a
Huh.
person.
All right.
Yeah, it's weird, right? But I mean, it's just it's going to be a goofy Marvel movie in like a fairly serious universe. It's going to be like, hey, look what else we can do. And I think it's just another genius move by Marvel.
Are those characters in the same universe as X-Men, as in like they're on the Earth at the same time as the X-Men?
Well, that's difficult to answer because they right now that is going to fall in. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to fall in with the Disney Marvel movies, as opposed to X-Men, which is I'm not sure. Is that No,
I
that's
think
Fox.
they're Sony, I thought, or I could be wrong.
It's Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's owned by Sony. X-Men is owned by Fox, and then Disney owns the rest of the characters. So X-Men and Spider-Man and the rest of the Marvel movies aren't even necessarily in the same universe because of the way that the different distribution centers have them.
Hmm.
But Guardians of the Galaxy will be within the Avengers universe as it is now.
Okay. Where were they when the aliens were trying to take over?
Well, I mean, they're still off in the universe stealing things because they don't care about us.
They're supposed to be guarding us.
Yes.
God.
No, not yet. They'll be guarding us later on.
But you said that he makes silly movies. I brought up his IMDb thing, and he was involved with Scooby Doo, like the live one,
Yep.
which I really liked as a kid.
Yeah, they're
Scooby Doo
pretty good.
2, Slither. So you're
Yeah.
right, a lot of like goofy things. That recent
Yeah.
movie 43.
Uh-huh.
I think he just wrote a scene in that, but
I think he also did. Was he involved in that video game Lollipop Chainsaw?
he was, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he just does goofy things, and I think they picked the right guy for the role, and I think it's going to be a cool movie just because it's so much different than all the other Marvel movies that are going to be out.
Would you say you're a big fan of all the superhero movies in general?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too. What, in your opinion, is the worst? Like, what is the lowest bar? Like, who do they have to beat to at least make sure that they're not the worst? Because I don't think they're going to be the best.
No.
Avengers has set it pretty high. Iron Man, X-Men, etc.
Yeah.
What do they have to be better than so that they're not the worst? And then we'll sign off after that. What do they have to be better
Catwoman,
than?
which isn't too
Oh,
hard
that's
to
a
beat,
good
to be
one.
honest. But I guess modern Green Lantern.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the Fantastic Four.
Ooh, that's another good one. But
I
yeah,
Yeah, man, you brought yours up and I totally forgot about. That's low.
yeah,
Those
that's
didn't
really
even
low.
spawn sequels.
No, they wanted to build a whole Green Lantern universe out of that movie. The idea was, and then when that movie completely flopped, they're like, never mind, let's try something else.
What was the one where Seth Rogen was a superhero?
Oh, that
The
was
Green
Green Hornet.
Hornet.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh, wonderful.
so I guess there are some more clunkers than I think, but in their defense, the ones that make it are like
Brilliant.
they're like generation defining almost, like the
Absolutely.
Avengers.
Right. When you do them right, you do them right, man.
Yeah. All right, we got to sign off here. That was a good one though.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. That was pretty cool.
we'll have to do this again. Let's make this a yearly thing, or maybe we make it a seasonal thing. I know summer has all the best movies.
Yeah, I think during like the winter, coming around Christmas, they always do a good series of movies during the Oscar. They call the Oscar season. We can do one then.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll do, yeah, just like Oscar season movies.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool then. If not, at least yearly summer movie preview. So if you guys like this one, tune in 1 year and you'll see the next one.
Awesome.
All right. But that's it, bud. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you, dude.
See ya.